And then we are doing a very important program with Mr. Conrad Dumba. Conrad is the chairman of NDC in Milton Keynes, and now he is the aspirant.
Former chairman.
Okay. Former chairman of NDC Milton Keynes. Yeah. And now we are part of the aspirant. 4 aspirants for the position of chapter chairman for NDC UK and Ireland.
Yes, sir.
Yes. Welcome.
Thank you, Kofi Kula.
And how was your journey coming?
It wasn't bad. Just about 35 minutes on the train from Milton Keynes to Euston, and then I went down Victoria Line to Walthamstow Central, the overground, and then just right across there, jumped off and walked here. So fairly easy for me, I would say.
If it was in Ghana, this journey that you have spoken about would have taken about how many hours? 4 hours? 6 hours?
4 hours, that's if we are lucky. That is why we need to change Ghana, so that you need to have at least a nationwide railway network, you know, yes, from Accra right to the border in Paga, from Aflawu all the way to Elubo, crossing across interregionals. So that if we are going to Kumasi, we can work in Accra and live in Kumasi, or the other way around. You know, if you want to buy, what do you call it, foodstuffs yourself, you can take the train down to Techema or the food basket and then buy your food. You know, if you want guinea fowls up north, you can jump on the train over the weekend, get down, get your trip and back. You know, connecting the entire country. It creates jobs, it puts the infrastructure there, and it means that our overall GDP grows. You know, jobs are created, the economy will be able to overcome the challenges we have. You know, those are the big dreams we need to be thinking about. Yes. The things that are here that make it easy for you and I to move around large distances in the blink of an eye.
Yeah. The youth of Ghana want to see this. Conrad.
Yes.
I know you are part of the aspirants for the position of chairmanship for the chapter.
Yep.
It's a very big position. What inspired you to go for this? That is one, our viewers want to know what inspired you to go for that. But before that, can you tell us a little bit about yourself, so that those watching, our viewers, in particular the NDC circle, will know a bit about you in the UK?
Thank you, Kofi Kula, and good morning, or it's a good afternoon now to the cherished listeners who have tuned in to listen to us. I usually don't like talking about myself, but I always prefer that my work will speak for itself.
Yes.
But yes, I need to obviously introduce myself. So as you said, my name is Conrad Dumba. I come from the Upper West region in Ghana, Wa to be specific. But I was born and bred in Bolga, in the Upper East region. Did my elementary school, my primary school in Bolga, and then I went to a minor seminary in Navrongo. So my mom's plan was that I would be a priest someday.
Oh, wow.
So I went to both JSS and SS, a minor seminary called Notre Dame, which is French for Our Lady. So from there, I obviously went into Legon, studied accounting at School of Admin. So, and I was a vandal, for all the vandals listening.
Yes.
On the hill there. And after that, I nearly went into the major seminary to be a priest. Therefore, you know, they say you plan, but God decides.
Yes.
Somehow, I think God decided that my job was not to go into the clergy and wear the cassock, but rather to find voice for other means. And that is one of the reasons I think that I eventually got into politics, because I always wanted public service, whether in the cassock, in the dog's collar, or out here. And so I've at some point I came down into the UK to study, and then after studies I stayed over. I'm a chartered accountant, so I've practiced with the likes of PricewaterhouseCoopers, PwC, Barclays Bank, Santander, and I currently I'm the vice president for financial controls and reporting with Citibank, one of the top 9 largest banks in the world, based in Canary Wharf. So that is a little bit about my process of acquiring knowledge or education and what I do for a living. But the most important thing is family-wise.
Yes.
So I'm married to a beautiful wife, Yvette, and I've got 2 kids. A boy.
I hope she's listening.
Well, we're hoping so. A boy, a young man, 9-year-old, called Maniela, and my little daughter, 5-year-old girl, Basiela. Although the 5-year-old tends to play the age of the 9 half the time. So they keep me busy at home. But of course, as you would see, I still in the spite of, I mean, I'm a catechist in my local Catholic church as well. So I haven't shaken off all the, if you like, the shackles of God. I still play my part in church. And that for me is important because it helps me to keep my values steeped in God and practicing it in my profession. Because, you know, if you're an accountant, if you're not careful and you're not principled, you can easily go to jail. And so I steep my principles in God. And that also allows me to do public service in politics. And so I've been involved in politics, particularly since from the Milton Keynes branch, the first branch to be set up in the UK. I was secretary from about 2011 till about 2017. And then I took over as chairperson until last week, Saturday, barely 7 days ago, when I handed over to my former secretary and now chairperson, Madam Angela Dom-Sirma. And so if you put all of this together, for me, I have always been about service. And leadership, in my view, is service. It's not lording it over people or sitting on the high table. That's not what leadership is about. Because when you talk about leading by example, how do you show someone how to do something without doing it yourself? You know, I always believe in roll up the sleeves and get the job done. So if you come to my branch, you would see many pictures and videos of me when we have our branch barbecue. I'm not a good barbecue man, but I stand there, when I burn the meat, at least I get the job done. You know, we always work collaboratively, and that's one thing that I'm passionate about. You know, and why do I do this? Someone would say, look, I mean, I come across many people saying, focus on your career. Why go into politics? Politics is not for people of your kind. And I say, hang on. There's a famous statement one Greek philosopher said, the price the wise pay for refusing to engage in politics is that they get to be ruled by their inferiors. You know, some interpret it as they get to be ruled by fools or whatever it is. But I think all of us, whatever you are passionate about, whatever your career is in life, whether you're an architect, you are a scientist, you are a banker, whatever you do, you should be seeking to bring a difference to the lives of others. And there's no better place to give that difference than your mother country. And so when we play politics out here, we don't do it for the joy of it. We do it because we want to be able to contribute to a better Ghana. As I started on by saying, I dream of the day when you can jump on a train from Accra straight down to Elubo, and in a couple of hours, a fast train. And it's not impossible. We can do it if we put our resources where our mouths are and we focus. We up in the diaspora here, we enjoy a lot of these things. These have taken time and planning to build. That is how we can contribute to the agenda in Ghana. And so my passion in politics, and why do I join the NDC? Because I believe that the NDC is the best vehicle for delivering that. You will notice that it was the NDC that electrified much of the country, you know, under President Rawlings. You know, the NDC built a massive Trans-ECOWAS road right from Kintampo straight through to Paga. And that improved the lives. I mean, I remember when I was young, in my seminary boarding house, 10 years old, we used to go for and stay there. The school was in the middle of the bush, so you literally couldn't go anywhere. But the road from Bolga to Navrongo is barely 18 miles, 30 kilometers. It could take you up to 2 hours back in that day, just sneaking around potholes and all that stuff. When Rawlings got that road built, you could do it in half an hour or less. And that is improving the lives of the people. That is what development is about. It's about making the lives of the people easier. You know, creating jobs, improving the conditions, making sure you've got roads, you've got airports, like the things former President Mahama did. And so all of us in the diaspora, whatever we do, whether we are students, whether we are professionals, whether we are self-employed, whether we are in the media, like your good selves, we should be thinking to what end? And it should be about making the lives of our fellow citizens in Ghana better, our families in Ghana better.
The politicians in Ghana think of these things you're talking about, making a difference for other people.
So I like to think that they do.
I'm generalizing it.
Yes, I like to think they do, but sometimes the circumstances in which they find themselves makes it difficult for us to see whether they do that. So for example, if you ask me, Why would President Mahama build an airport in Ho, or an airport in Tamale, or an airport in my own town, Wa, if he didn't want to improve the lives of the people? And so now when I go to Ghana, back in the day without the airport, I used to take 12 hours to drive, get the bus, STC, all the way up north. Now I can fly in an hour and a bit. I'm in Tamale, I will catch a shuttle and I'm in Bolga, or I can fly direct to Wa. So using that as an example, I believe that some politicians really believe in it. I don't believe in the type of politics where you pay people to vote for you and you get the money back, or go into politics to make your money. You should be asking what you can do for your country, not what your country can do for you. You shouldn't be enjoying at the expense of your countrymen, because what we inherited.
Are patriotic enough of these things?
And that's true. And that's why I would thank Mr. Joe for coming yesterday to the Ghana High Commission, the Chancery, to cover the anti-Galamsey fight. I took the day off yesterday, and I came all the way from Milton Keynes. I dropped my kids at school, and then I came down there and I participated in it, and I went back to Milton Keynes, went and did other stuff before getting to go back and pick them up. We're about 20 of us there. I thought that more Ghanaians could have come out. We went there as Ghanaians, not as NDC or MPP.
But did they advertise it enough?
They did. But one thing I would, my personal observation, if we had advertised that program as MPP, MPP people will come. If we had advertised it as NDC, NDC people will come. One of the tragedies of our country is that when you go neutral, you literally, nobody mobilizes for you. We should get to a point where the neutrals dominate the country. And the neutrals should be able to say, whoever does the best job gets the nod. And so you should never have a situation, and I'm not speaking because I'm NDC, you should never have a situation where someone like President Mahama, who did so much in so short of a short period of time, will be chucked out. And unfortunately, President Nana Addo comes in, and now we see where we are. And I believe that Ghanaians are learning. The politics we play in the Western world, it's issue-based, it's policy-based, it's progress-based.
Yes.
And that is what we need to take home. Kula, if I ever stood for office in Ghana, or I stand for office here, I don't want anybody to vote for me because, oh, I know you. Yes. Oh, we are from the same old school, old boys. Or we are from the same part of the country, we are from the same tribe. You are not doing me any good.
Yes.
If I'm not good for that job, do me the honor of not putting me there to embarrass myself, as we have seen in Ghana now. Vote for me because you think what I want to do is good or I can deliver. If we focus our politics on issue-based politics, our country will be better. Because at the moment, you go to many constituencies in Ghana, and sometimes it's here. It's a case of monocracy. It's no more democracy. The richest person gets in. Now let me tell you something. Business people who make money, when they come and invest in politics, it's an investment, which means they will get it back. And so if a person comes to give you money to become MP, and then all of their common fund, you see nothing is happening, but the common fund is going into contracts into their pocket, and you complain. You go back and you realize that the egg that hatched that chicken was corrupted from there. And that's why, for me in the NDC, we should shy away from politics of money. So I will not personally go and tell somebody,
I'll give you this. If the police were doing their job properly, all these things would have been addressed? Because in this country, the police will come in.
Yeah.
Any allegation, either being in the newspapers, social media, anywhere, they will investigate. Do we do that? If our police force is also the way the social construction of our education system is.
Yeah.
Some people go through without actually studying, but they end up having the certificate. There are people in the UK here who are here in the UK, but they still have certificates in Ghana. They didn't step foot at the universities, and they give them certificates. So if these things are happening, then we have a problem.
And I think it starts with you and I, Kofi, because at the end of the day, politicians, public servants, policemen are a microcosm of the wider society. They are a representation of the wider society. It is not unusual to find you go into politics and then you find they say, oh, that man, he doesn't help anybody. Always help, but make sure you don't corrupt the body politic. You know, the things we learn from home, we all go to church. Ghanaians, about 70% plus are Christians. The rest are Muslims or African traditionalists. And this is funny enough. You know, they say there is no Christian in Africa. There are only African Christians. We are all Christians, but we fear our African traditional gods. And we go to church, we pray. And then the moment we finish praying, we actually insult God in church. Sometimes, unless I go there and I'm a church elder sitting in front, I just stole money from my work, right? As an accountant, I'll come there and then I'll give it as church tithes. I've just insulted God. Yes. And sometimes we worship that. I don't have a source of income that allows me to be able to raise, say, 1 million Ghana cedis. I come to donate 1 million Ghana cedis to the pastor. The pastor should be asking me, how did you get this? The pastor should be saying no.
At least report to the police.
You know, so we need to start from the basics. We need principled politicians. You know, and that's why I respect the likes of P.C. Apiafuri. I respect the likes of the late Ndebugri. I respect the likes of the former special prosecutor, our own NDC man. Yeah, you know, we need principle. Amidu, Mr. Martin Amidu. Yeah. We need principle in politics. We need integrity in politics. Because when you decide to lead your people, when you decide to serve your people, you should serve with integrity so that those behind see. We don't want the youngsters of today to be looking at the money that is being made. Politicians sitting in TV studios showcasing the amount of money they have made. That is corrupting the body politic. We are not doing any good to
you. You have a lot of values. Now, what inspired you then for this position? Is this what inspired you?
Public service and the view that they say, don't go into politics, it's not for people like you. Who else? I believe in going into politics, bringing my values, bringing the little experience and the knowledge I have, so that we can get this done. If we have a stronger NDC, we have a stronger Ghana. And statistically, if you look at Ghana, Ghana develops best when the NDC is in power. That's a fact. You know, you look at how much the leaps and bounds we made over the period PNDC was in power, over the period from 1992 up till 2000, Kufuor did his bit, we came back. You know, the statistics are there. And so for me, the passion is to serve Ghana. And in serving Ghana, how can you go and participate in a race if your car is a wobbly go mango, 1 ton chene? Okay. We need a Ferrari there, so that we know we have the performance. And so we need to rebuild ourselves. And that is one of the passions. I mean, I have had the opportunity of working in the NDC, the capacity of a branch executive for the past, decade and a bit, since 2011. First as secretary. Milton Keynes was not in the state we see it now. But thanks to the hard work and encouragement of the likes of the late chairman Peter Kumedi, Chairman Akafo, and many, many strong cadres, we worked hard and we proved that as first branch it should be done. No, we have strong financial stability now. Milton Keynes is a shining example, and I'm not saying it because I was leader there. Anybody can take me on that. We are stable. We had our dark days. But for me, in doing all this, we also reached out to helping to expand. Almost every branch that has been set up in this UK had Milton Keynes either pushing for it, supporting it in some shape or form, especially the last set. You know, talk of Telford, talk of East London, own branch down here, talk of even Scotland. I mean, I fearlessly push for expansion. If we are stronger here, we can contribute to throwing the MPP out of power in Ghana. If we are weaker here, we don't have that leverage. And I don't shirk away from that. You know, Pro Forum, NDC Professionals Forum. Yes. I was the founding president of it here, and we went through tough times. There were times when I received letters from Accra threatening expulsion, threatening that you are doing rebel activity and all that stuff. I always kept my eye on the vision. If we expand the party, then we are better off. Yes. Today, East London is thriving. Today, Telford is thriving. Scotland is a good branch. I know my brothers at the executive have set up Ireland. Today, the NDC Pro Forum is officially affiliated to the party and is doing a great job. We contributed massively to our 2020 campaign, financially and with our skills. So I think that should allow us dream bigger. We should be expanding across Wales, across Northern Ireland. We should be spinning off Ireland into its own, so that it becomes a chapter. And it's these visions, these ideas, that makes me sit back and think, look, for a long time as a branch chairperson, you have pushed these. And many have called and said, if you have seen that vision and working hard for it always means there will always be resistance for change. Why not come on board? Let's work together. And I agree 100%. And I'm grateful to the many who have encouraged me, who have counseled me. And of course, upon reflection, I think if I'm given the chance to serve, there is a lot we can do together. Our best days are ahead of us. And working together means we can expand the length of breadth. I mean, the entire Midlands. We have no NDC branch in the entire East Midlands. So you go to the West Midlands, we have Telford, we have Birmingham. Go across the East Midlands, Leicester, Derby, Nottingham. We are literally zero all the way down to Edinburgh. So on the western side we are, on the eastern side we aren't. We must penetrate this, and it comes with dedication, it comes with hard work and with determination, and a vision to say, the child that says they'll climb the tree will climb it. The child that says they won't will stay at the bottom. Yeah. And for me, the inspiration for this is to bring the talents that God has given me, the experience God has given me, the perseverance that God has given me. Because I always believe, there's a famous Latin phrase that says, to the stars through difficulties. We succeed not because it's easy, but we will succeed because it's difficult and because we work to overcome those difficulties. So I have a vision in working with my campaign team and many well-meaning members of this chapter. I believe we can achieve it.
So looking at the three standing there,
yeah,
you have other three aspirants. What are the main challenges for you? Is there any challenges for you?
So I tend to operate in life that all challenges are opportunities. That is the difference. You know, you have a challenge. Once you resolve that challenge, it becomes the opportunity for progress. Okay. We cannot grow. You know, I mean, coming on the train here, I saw something. I actually took a video of it, which, I mean, a picture of it I'll show you. There's a lady on there that says that it is because of our difficulties and the challenges that we dream and we aspire to achieve. I mean, if it wasn't difficult, you don't need to do it. It's done already. But it's because it's difficult we need to do it. Yes. And why? For the betterment of the group, for the betterment of the NDC. There's no point me joining the NDC, and when I leave, the seat I sat on is the only seat still in the room. I need to make sure there are more seats. And I need to make sure we move from those seats to better seats, if not a massive stadium. And so for me, I think that, look, what we are doing here will echo forever in eternity. Those who started NDC UK and Ireland years ago, they look back now and say, we have made progress. I think we can do better 30 years on. We shouldn't think that what we are doing here is in isolation. If we are able to solve some of these challenges here, and most of the challenges as a party here are not different from the challenges in Ghana, we will be better placed with that experience to knock on the doors in Ghana and support our comrades in Ghana to be able to make sure we capture power and keep it long enough to make a massive difference to the lives of Ghanaians. We do not want 4-8 years. We should. I believe that if we come together and we work hard and we learn the lessons, we should be able to emulate the LDP in Japan, for example, who ruled Japan uninterrupted for 50 years, and you see what they have done. And we don't rule because we rig elections. We rule because we deliver what the people need. Yes. You know, so I believe that, look, whatever the challenges, I welcome it. The three are my brothers, Chairman Mbalba, Dr. Ajiman, and my own brother, Chairman Aqua from Sheffield. Yes. We run on our visions. What are you bringing to the table? What is your track record? I'm always ready to be quizzed on my plans and my track record, and I don't run from them. Yes. When I fail, I see failure as success. You know why? Because each time you fail, you've just discovered one alternative way of not doing it. Yes. If I go left and left is blocked, I know that I'm not going left again, so I'm going right now. Yes. And so as a collective, as a chapter, we should be dreaming big. We shouldn't just be interested in, just managing it like that. No, we should be ambitious. Because if we aren't ambitious, then the world would cave in on us. We should be able, whether it is about financial stability, whether it's about expansion, whether it's about making sure that we root ourselves strongly in the UK as an entity, we should dream big and not small.
So is this what makes you different from the other three?
I'd like to think, look, what makes me different is that I'm Conrad. All of us are different, even twins are different. I may have the same message, they may have the same message. The difference is, how are you going to deliver it? Have you got a track record? I mean, in my manifesto, for example, I start by saying we build for the future. Yes. Then I talk about making sure we have strong financial accountability, transparency, and probity. You know, value for money and how we operate. And I finish by operational, if you like, resilience, strengthening the branches in the chapters. In brief, when I talk about building a chapter for the future,
this is like your vision.
The vision that we can achieve in 4 years. Yeah. When I talk about building a chapter for the future, and what I mean is we should have our own permanent place. It's not impossible. I mean, I've spoken to a lot of people, and there are many alternative ways we can do this. We've got a plan mapped out on how we can do this. You know, I am thinking about making sure that we can diversify our sources of funding. Legitimate means, though, I'm not saying we should go and find cocaine, Columbia powder for sale. No, there are innovative ways we can do this. In Milton Keynes, for example, one thing we did, at some point when we were really, really hard up, we came up with it, because being the first branch, it wasn't easy.
Yes.
We printed our party paraphernalia and we sold among ourselves, £50 a pop. It brought in a lot of money. What it meant is that instead of ordering those from Ghana, we did it here at a cheaper cost, better quality, sold amongst us and raised money. And there are so many innovative ways we can do this. You know, we have, I mean, I'll just stop with that as one example. But for me, it's about diversifying and not always having a one-horse race, waiting on membership dues, waiting for membership donations. We should be able to think outside the box and get these things done. You know, I also think that, look, when, apart from diversifying and getting our own place, I also believe that we should be able to make significant contributions to the campaign in Ghana. And so if I were to tell you, for example, that we can easily target a 6-figure sum, I'm not kidding. You know, my branch is small. We aren't the biggest. When I inherited the reins of power, we were really challenged, not only division, but in many other areas. We barely had £8 in our bank account. And I can tell you that over the last 4 years, we've worked 5 years, we've worked hard together with the support of our former executives. We have thousands in our account. It is through financial prudence. We only spend when it is needed, and we spend value for money. And most importantly, in doing this, look, even though we were, on average, most of our donors we didn't have many donations. But I can tell you, we've had 2 major funerals in this party over the last 4 or 5 years. My own sister, I remember the funeral of Louisa Nelson, the late Louisa Nelson. Our branch raised £2,000. Wow. And we are a fraction of some of the largest branches. I'm saying this because when you are determined to do something, you will find innovative ways of doing it. Yes. I mean, at our former chairman's funeral recently, last year, we did the same. We raised the same amount. And that means that we found innovative ways of doing it. We came together. We worked together. We democratized the financing structure. We don't believe in, oh, this man is our donor, our, what do they call it? There's a special term that we tend to use in politics. Sponsor. Then you go to him and say, give us all the money. You know that Obama raised a lot of money, and it was through the little £50 here. And so when you expand, Kula, if there are 10 of us and we raise £1 each, that's £10, right? Yes. If there are 100 of us and we raise £1 each, the same £1 per person, well, now we have £100. Yes. So we need to think about democratizing finance. We need to think about innovative ways of raising finance to run our party as well as in Ghana. You know, so for me, that is it. And as we do this, we have to be accountable. I mean, as an accountant, when I spend money, you should know that I've spent money. There should be no chapter executive, for example, that who doesn't know the state of our finances at any point in time. I'm not going to be in the business of spending money as chairman. No, there's an office for doing that. And anybody getting money, either you spend and come for receipt. And it must be pre-approved spend. And we must have quarterly rendering of accounts to ourselves as executives. And we encourage branches to also come along with this. Why? This is not just about just doing it for the sake of it. It's to build confidence in people. Kula, if you give me 1 cedi and then I spend and come and tell you, oh, Papa, I spent the 1 cedi on coconut water because I needed electrolytes and blah, blah, blah for me. Next time I ask for 1 cedi, you give me. Yeah. But if you give me 1 cedi and you don't hear from me, and the next time I come back for 1 cedi, you'll be thinking, I call her with the So you see, being accountable to the people, it gives them confidence that you are using it for what you need to use it for. And also, if you've gone wrong, you get the feedback and you change. You know, but in doing this, in being accountable to the people, in making sure we are managing our finances with an eye for value for money. I'm an accountant, they call us bean counters. So because we kind of watch the pennies, we should be doing that across board. But that must support our operations. And when I say our operations, I talked about, look, we should be taking our chapter to each branch. Every branch in this UK and Ireland should have the opportunity to host a chapter event. So I look forward to flying to to Ireland to be able to attend a chapter program there. Yes. I look forward to going to Scotland or to East London or to Hull or to Sheffield. If we do that, every branch gets the opportunity to host a chapter program. They see the chapter coming to them. Yes. We have to decentralize. You know, we don't, London is our headquarters. No one can take that away from us. I come to London a lot, Kofi. We meet at funerals, we meet at programs.
Yes.
But what is the point setting up a branch in Ireland, for example, and then we never even show up there? They feel abandoned.
Yes, it's true.
We need to take the party to the people. That is what I am about. And it's in everything. I see the future where things that are done at the chapter level can be done at the whether it is voting, whether it is fundraising, whether it is chapter events. We should be able to do that. And I'm speaking to you now. I mean, one of my other visions, my communications, our communications team, God willing, will be our communications team under my service when if and when the people give me the chance. We once had a media house, of course, not as big as yours here, but it fizzled into nothingness. We can do it. We will get back to it. Yeah. Our brothers in Germany have done it. It's not rocket science. It's not going to be easy. I know you know that it's not going to be easy.
Yes.
But nothing good comes easy. So we can do that. You know, so when I talk about operational resilience, I'm talking about this and making sure that my fellow colleagues at branch level, they work. I don't want to interfere in what they do. Their job, they were elected as branch executive to do their job. And everybody knows I have always been fiercely against any interference in branch activity in my branch. So I won't be a hypocrite and say don't interfere in my branch when I was branch chairperson and then I become a chapter chairperson and come down and tell you what to do. No. It's called decentralization because Kula, at the moment, I'm doing my job of answering your questions. If I want to do your job of asking those questions, you see the trouble I'll be in. I'll be asking the questions and answering.
Yes.
You know, so see all these fingers, each of them 5 has its role. I do my part, they do their part, I support them to do their part. There will be challenges. I don't go and take over. No. The same thing for my women's organizer, for my youth organizer, for my communications office. They are better at what they do. And my job would be to serve them. So if Simon, the current communications officer, and he has always done that, I've come to this studio on his calls, late nights. If he calls me, say, Chairman, I want you to go to Omega Live and represent. My job is to go and do that. My job is not to tell him when to do it, how to do it. That is his area. And so supporting each office to work, supporting each branch to work, makes us stronger. And that is where I'm saying, if each branch works and we expand the branch, and I'm telling you this, in my manifesto, I think that we can open at least 8 new branches in 4 years, at least 2 every year. There's a lot of appetite. What we need to do is to take the party to the people, take the party to the branches. If we expand our branches across Wales, across Northern Ireland, across all of the major cities in the UK, we will get to a point where we have an army that can easily descend on Ghana, come 2024, do the door-to-door, support with our might, our resources, and make sure we can rescue Ghana. Because this rescue mission coming, it is not going to be one for the faint-hearted. The numbers will matter, and the branches will matter. And so these are some of the things I'm talking about. But to finalize, you know, when you keep doing something and you don't have the opportunity to stop and think about it, you will go so far only to realize that the first part was wrong. Your foundation was built wrong. And so for me, one of the things I think we should do, in addition to making sure our standing orders come back so that we can get them in place, is to set up annual delegates conferences.
Okay.
We meet all branch executives and all members who want to come. We look back at the last year. What did we target ourselves with? Have we achieved it? If no, should we push them forward? Where did we go wrong? How do we move forward? We share experiences. What are the challenges each branch is facing? How have you resolved them? How can we resolve them? And most importantly, what ideas do we want? So if we are going to say to our next NDC administration, we want you to build an inter-regional train network across the country, we should be having those opportunities at those annual conferences to discuss these ideas, send them to our compatriots home, and make sure this is done.
You have said a lot, and I just want to ask this before we go to the main questions, some questions that we have in regards to the state of our economy now, the cost of living crisis. Unity, uniting the people, is one of the biggest jobs for NDC, for MPP. It has been one major area, and in the UK here is what I have observed. What are you going to do to bring the people together?
Thank you, Kofi, for that question. And I think a lot of people have asked me that question. Personally, I work with everybody.
You know why I ask? Sorry, I'm not cutting. You know why I ask? There are periods when I know in the past that, say, an NPP representative or NDC representative doing the program, and others will switch you off. Oh, we don't want to watch you. or it's about him talking about something. Oh, yeah, could hear the orca. We ask somebody who he has here. You know, what are you gonna do to bring the people together?
So I think whether it's within the NDC
or to work together,
or within Ghanaians, I work across. I mean, I'm a member of many Ghanaian associations in Ghana. Some of my best friends in Milton Keynes, and I'll be going to one of them's home this evening. I'm sure he's listening to me. Yeah. The wife is celebrating a milestone. I'm going there. I'll be there all late night.
Yeah.
Look, we are the best of friends. But he's a member of the MPP. He's an executive of the MPP. When we meet, we enjoy our friendships. Of course, we can laugh at each other, make fun of each other. But what is important is the forward march of Ghana. For Ghana to progress, we need both sides. We don't want the situation where MPP is in power, NDC is pulling them down, and when NDC is in power, MPP is pulling them down. That's not how government, how countries develop. And that is why I don't just play NDC politics. Ghanaians Against Galamsey, I was there yesterday. I sacrificed and I was there yesterday. Because we need to put the bigger picture. Of course, our vehicles for power should be paramount. But we need to start, courtesy begins at home. And so unity must start in each party. And as unity starts in each party, I mean, in the NDC, there is no one in the NDC that would say that I've refused to work with them. And it is about, for me, unity is always based on principles, honesty, and integrity. Kofi, if I say let's be united and I spend my time spewing untruths about you in the public, how are you going to unite? If I say let's be united, but I'm not principled, so today I am facing left. Tomorrow you come and say, oh, I know you are facing left. I was also going left. Let's go. So no, now I'm facing right. That is what we call principled leadership or principled stance. You see, I am happy when a person disagrees with me, but at least they know where I stand. They know that this matter, if I put it before Conrad, I know, you see, if you say, oh, let's go and do Kululu, he's going to say, my brother, no way. And I always believe, look, it is better to lose a contest or an election with integrity than to win a tainted victory, because it will always come back and haunt you. When you have, I mean, and I'm not that, I mean, my campaign team are listening. We've all agreed, we don't do dirty politics. We focus on our message. We can all agree that this can be done. How it should be done is different. But what we can agree is that we go out and say Kofi Kola is this when Kofi Kola is not that. Or put negative messages. That doesn't allow people to come back together after the elections. So when people go and say, oh, don't mind that man, he's not in it, he's going to drop out for this other person. Or don't mind this man because he and the other person, they are the same. And that's one of the things, look, me, I don't do tribal politics. Because you see, you should be bigger enough to see beyond your own little zone. You should be able to come out of your shell. Where you come from is better off if you can work with others who are not from where you come from. That is for me the simple thing. And Ghana has got how many tribes? We've got about 46 dialects. So if we're going to splinter ourselves along that line, today this one will say I am Kotokoli, this one would say I am Inzima, this one will say this. So you have NDC Inzima, NDC Ever, NDC Dagomba, NDC Ga, NDC Achem. Where are we going? We don't need that. Look, if you want to be part, I'm part of my hometown associations. That is it. And when I go there, I don't play politics because that is my home. When I come to the NDC, I am coming to a family because we believe in one ideology for developing Ghana. I'm not coming there to splinter it and say, oh, in the NDC, who's from my village or who's from my old school? That for me is fickle-minded politics, with due respect. We must focus on how we politic so that we are united after every contest. We must work together in unity for the purpose that we didn't come to the NDC to divide ourselves. And we are not Ghanaians to divide ourselves. And that's one thing I like about Achampong, apart from his, what do you call it, Operation Feed Yourself. One nation, one destiny. That is one of the most profound things. People can make fun of Achampong that he was talking about guarantee. When they say, will he give guarantee? He thought it was the guarantee footwear. But that is a very profound statement that he lives by, that I respect him for. One nation, one destiny. Whether you are from Central, you are from Volta, you are from North, you are from Middle, Kintampo, or Nzulezu, what binds us together is that we are Ghanaians. And we should always focus on that. And if you choose to do politics and we're NDC, let's make it NDC.
Thank you. Well, I mean, you mentioned about Ghanaians Against Galamsey.
Yeah.
And you took time off to go there.
Yeah.
How do you see it going, the Galamsey situation? Because it's something that is haunting us.
Oh, yes. And that's one of the reasons I had to add my voice. I think that, look, this government has failed in the fight against Galamsey. Papa Owusu Ankoma yesterday, when he addressed us, he said, yes, the government is determined to work against Galamsey. But of course, the view was people rely on Galamsey as a source of living, and they wanted to license it just like President Mahama had said, but it's not working well. So the government itself has admitted it's not working well. You have our military who should be protecting water bodies, who some, not all, are actually protecting the people destroying it, which shouldn't be the case. You have some of us politicians, and I'm not mentioning him, but you know it is all over the news. Politicians at the forefront and doing it with impunity. The next generation, with all this mercury and all these chemicals they used to wash, going into River Birim, going into River Ayensu, going into Ankobra, these famous rivers, we will get to a point. And I think there was one of the MDs for the Ghana Water Company in Kumasi was saying, they have had to put in more chemicals to purify the water. River Pra, water coming from all those places. We'll get to a point where children are born with what? Without some parts of their body. We'll get to a point where we have to be buying water. Already the cost of living is high. Kula. Think about if Ghanaians now have to continue buying pure water. The people in my village, the people in your village, can they afford it? So this is a time bomb waiting to explode, a very dirty bomb. And it must be stopped. And I'm hoping and praying that the penny will drop for the current government at some point so that they can take a firm stance. Because the way we are going, I'm not even sure by 2024 we'll have any clean river left.
Nana yesterday, 2 days ago, sacked the finance minister. Charles Edubuahi was dismissed by the president based on Anas investigation. You think, say, the government should not have waited for all this? They should have let the special prosecutor go in and do it. And a number of people have criticized Anas. But when in 2016, Nanado was saying that Anas investigation, yes, is something that he admired and wanted to look into it. So is it hunting back to the president?
And I think you used the right word. His own statements previously are haunting him. Why? Yes. Because they were not said in principle. They were said on a campaign platform to get votes. And this is where you have to be able to take decisions as a principal leader. If he said, I will work with the Anas principle, you should be working with Anas principle. You shouldn't have a situation where this expose, it's because of this expose that Ahmed Swale lost his life, your fellow journalist. You shouldn't have a situation where we are now where we are, on Galamsey or on corruption. Indeed, in the case of Charles Edubuahi, it was pure corruption. And this is what we have been saying about the MPP, that they are using public office for private gain. You would see, he was confessing on the tape. Oh, all you need is $200,000 for the vice president. And I'm sure they sacked him because he was
Do you think that the vice president should be spoken to by the special prosecutor as well? Because this has come out. You sack the man.
I'll tell you, yes.
Sacking the man to shut him up?
Good, potentially. In fact, the question is whether the man was sacked or he resigned. Because he says he resigned to pave way for investigation. The Flagstaff House says he was sacked. So that's a different thing. But I think that he was only sacked. Why was my brother Charles Bishu not sacked when he was caught in video evidence? Is it because he didn't specifically link to anybody? So this man is being sacked because the video was too damning. And he was too close for comfort, too close to the vice president for comfort. But on the eve of that, what he said, it also came out, in fact, he himself mentioned it. He mentioned it in the audio, if you listen carefully. That, that's what, I mean, the vice president always likes his brothers and his family to be in these contracts. Sino-Hydro, that matter has come up. And it is indeed true, I am told, it is indeed true that some members of the vice president's family had some SAP contracts and stuff like that from the Sino-Hydro deal. The question you should be asking is, when a minister of state at the presidency for finance comes out and tells us that the vice president only needs $200,000 for his whatever, and that the vice president's family has to be in because that's the way it operates, and cites examples from Sino-Hydro, it's difficult for you and I out here to say it's a lie. This is not a messenger there. This is a minister of state who works at the presidency with the president and the vice president. And he's basically exposing their modus operandi. He's basically telling us how members of this government are using their public office to make money. And it's not, in fact,
and bringing in family members.
Good. Not just that. He also talks about how that corruption money how the bribe should be collected. He says this, I don't like to take cash. I have companies. So you can come in and then You use my company and you pay it to me as a finance fee. Or I have a real estate company. You can take a stake in it, and when you take a stake in that, so it's like, okay, you are a real estate company. I'm buying 50% of it for, say, 50 million, but I want to give you a bribe of 25 million. So I'll actually pay you 75 million. So these are the things, and it's not unusual. Ofori-Atta has done it. Yes. He uses Data Bank as book runner for Ministry of Finance. And that's why our borrowing has held our necks and we can't breathe. It is a serial pattern of government appointees and ministers using public office not to serve Ghanaians, but using public office as an opportunity to make money through financial engineering or other deceptive and fraudulent means. And it's good that at least for now he's been sacked. The question is, if we sack him because of what he just said, and probably not did it yet, or has done it, I don't know. What about Ofori-Atta, whose company has been collecting he himself declared in Parliament in July, 159 million.
Is there a double whammy here going on?
That is it. That is the double standard. Just as Nana Addo said, I stand with Anna's principle, and now he can't be found when it comes to Anna's principles. You know, it's the same way where we are firing Charles Edubuahin, a smaller fish, for coming up with a plan to get money, when the same plan is being executed by the finance minister, and God knows how long the finance minister has been called for to resign, and still is at post.
The special prosecutor says that they are investigating Charles Edubuahin. But I don't know who else is investigating. Is he the only one? I mean, and do we need a kind of an independent investigation rather than the special prosecutor's investigation?
Time they say is will always tell. We have seen the history of these investigations. They all come back with cleared. Even when people are seen on video handling money and confessing before God and man, they are cleared. The special prosecutor so far, they are yet to live up to expectations, in my view. We haven't seen, the last special prosecutor exited in a very bombastic way. He did his job, he investigated the Ejapa deal, and he said it stinks. And attempts were made to go to his house, attempts were made to, if you like, get him in there, and he said no, and he jumped ship. I don't know whether this current special prosecutor is doing what he should be doing. We haven't seen any action yet. We only see one referral here and then we hear nothing. One referral there and we hear nothing. I think that they should justify their inclusion. They should do something. The facts are already out there. So they should be out there. And I know sometimes you set up these committees to kick the ball into the very long grass. By the time the report comes, election is over. But the office of the special prosecutor does not do itself any favors if its investigations are not swift, they are not decisive, and they are not seen to be credible. They must be looking at these to get the trust. Or the average Ghanaian doesn't trust the office of the special prosecutor. That's a fact. We trust Anas.
Are we in a state of no confidence?
Oh, we started a long time ago. No confidence in the economy, no confidence in the governing elite. And so now we have a crisis of politics where a politician is not effectively a byword for a criminal in Ghana. You introduce yourself as a politician.
Things are messy. Things are messy.
Because we haven't conducted ourselves well as politicians. We haven't exhibited the level of integrity, the level of principle, and honest dealing that you need. You know, and it is not just even the politicians. It is coming across our religious, some of our chieftaincy. You know, the double speak, the stark hypocrisy that is always on show is what is undermining confidence in our governance system, not just the political system, but even the traditional and the religious governance systems.
But looking at it, the government, Nana Addo is urging Ghanaians to support the decision to apply for a loan from the IMF. And is banking his hopes on ongoing talks with the International Monetary IMF for help to save the sinking economy with, among other things, 3 billion bailout. That's everything depends on the conclusion of negotiation with the IMF. Why, as a country, I say, Obia, we say, bang, we Busiana na media make up. So what happened?
That's the problem we have here, Kofi Kula. You see, going to the IMF, in my view, is not a problem. It's like going to the doctor is not a problem. It's about what you go there with. If you go to the doctor and they ask you, so what is wrong with you? What do you want? And you're like, okay, I'm not sure yet. I'm still working out what is wrong with me. You will stay there, and by the time you realize that ailment will kill you. If you get there and say, I've got a headache, take your paracetamol and go. The problem we have with the Ghanaian economy now, yes, this government has borrowed its way into the grave. They inherited a total debt of 122 billion, to be specific, in 2017 January. We currently look at 520 billion. We currently have our debt to GDP standing at 104.6%. What it means is that, Kofi, if we decide that, okay, today, dear Ghanaians, we don't want to owe anybody, we want to sell all our japadia and pay our debtors. If we sell all our debt, right, and our debt all adds up to £100. Sorry, if we sell all our assets and adds up to £100, our debt is £104. So it's not enough to pay.
Yes.
So that is the crisis we are in. And I would have expected, President Mahama had been calling for going to the IMF months ago. You know, you are ill, they say go to hospital, you wait and wait and wait. Over 6 months later, we ended up there. As we speak, we still don't have a plan. Because the IMF, the way they work, my brother, is when you come there, you need to tell them what your problem is and what your plan is, and they will give you the money to support the plan. If I come to you and say, oh, I'm going to the market, give me money, won't you ask me what are you going to buy?
Yeah.
If I say, oh, I'm going to buy a washing machine, then you say, oh, how much? But if I say, oh, just give me the money, I'm going to buy things, you won't. And as we speak, we still don't have a plan. And as long as we don't have a plan, those holding our debt, there's no confidence in us. They are just shedding the debt like that.
But I suppose the negotiation is supposed to be 3 weeks. Now they're talking about end of the year. And if end of the year comes and nothing happens, then where do we go as a country?
Kofi, you negotiate based on your plan. What are you negotiating if there's no plan?
Yeah.
So this is the question we should be asking government. It's like playing games and just hoping that things that's not how you run an economy. As we speak now, you can see where the cedi is. The cedi is now at about 17 cedis to the pound. To the dollar, it's probably about 15 thereabouts. This is catastrophic for us. This is leading to a situation. If I give you the example in October, at the beginning of October, the cedi was about 10 to the dollar. By the end of October, it was 15 to the dollar. What it means, Kofi, is that if you were a businessman in Ghana and you ordered goods worth $10 million 1st of October, and then you were to pay for it at the end of October. So on the 1st of October, when you did that business, that $10 million was worth 100 million Ghana cedis. You did not pay for it, you waited till October end. You now say, now I'm going to pay. The dollar has gone to 15. Now you have to go and get 150 million Ghana cedis for the same thing, 50% on top. So if you now clear those goods and you come to sell, now assume that when you bought it for 100 million Ghana cedis at $10 million, you were going to sell it for 1 cedi. Now that it's gone to 150 million Ghana, won't you increase it to 1 cedi 50 pesos? Yes. Can you see how it's feeding inflation? That's because the cedi is under siege. And the cedi is under siege because our debt is a massive overhang. Why? Because you see, our debt, most of our debt is in dollars, and a significant chunk is in dollars, which means we have to always go and change dollars to service it or pay it, because you service periodically before you eventually pay. Now, anytime in the realm of demand and supply economics,
yes,
if there is more, if there's only 1 cup here, or let's say there are 2 cups, and that's why I'm selling them 1 cedi, 1 cedi, £1, £1. You buy £1, I buy £1. If now only 1 cup is available, and then you come and say you will buy £1, I come and say no, I'll buy £1.50. You also need a cup, you say £2. Before you realize we'll be selling at £5.
Yes.
And so when we are now chasing dollars, more dollars, because our debt is high, we are chasing more dollars to settle that high debt. We are driving up the cost of the dollar, and that's why the price of the dollar is going up.
So most of we created this ourselves.
Through our debt, appetite for debt. And now, the chickens have come home to roost. Oporiata was warned, but he won't listen. Today he's borrowing here, and when he borrows, he call it triple, what do you call it? What do you call it? Hat trick. Then he will do kinky party with Chenam and all the Uache and all the trimmings, and celebrate at Ministry of Finance. Kofi, how do you celebrate a car? How do you celebrate debt? You know where we come from. When you want to borrow, you wake up early in the morning, then you go to the person before anybody sees.
Yes.
You put your head, bow your head down, and you say, please, I need some money. I'll pay. You don't see anybody drumming and dancing with an entire ensemble and brass band going to the person's house to say, I have come to borrow publicly. That's what we were doing. Yeah. And this is where it has led us to. And so there's a need for massive fiscal consolidation. In other words, we need to cut a lot of the wasteful spending. so that we can reduce our budget deficit. Basically, that we spend more. You know, when you spend more than you earn, you get a deficit, and that adds to your debt. But if you reduce how much you spend, you get a surplus, which reduces your debt. So the debt is your stock. So if my stock is 10 cedis, 10 pounds today, and then tomorrow I go and I have 10 cedi, 10 pounds, and I spend 5 pounds, I spend 15, I've increased my debt by extra 5. But if I spend 5 and I've got 5 less, I'll come and use it to pay off this debt. So we need to go into fiscal consolidation. Those difficult decisions, Ofori-Atta didn't want to go to the IMF in the first place. He's dragging his feet because he knows the painful decisions that need to be taken, and he doesn't want to do it. And so this is I'm not even worried. Look, we already know he has engaged in inappropriate conflict of interest stuff. But for the good of the country, he should step aside. I know the MPP
He's saying something else. You said for the good of the country.
Yes.
But here, Honorable Ken Ofori-Atta is saying that he remains the right person to redeem the country's sinking economy, and are urging Ghanaians to give him and the government the needed support to remedy the current economic crisis. This is what he's saying.
So this is classic what we call in management failing upwards, where you have your person working for you, they do a bad job, and you what? You promote them. So Kofi, you call a plumber to come and fix a leak in your house. When they come, not only have they not fixed the leak, they have even burst your pipe more. And then you shake their hand and say, why you are there? Now I will make you go up to the ensuite, the other bedroom, and do it again. Will you do that? Or you give your son to somebody to take care of. When you come back, they say, oh, I don't know where he's gone. He's missing. And then you say to him, okay, you are the one who got him missing. Go and look for him. If they could find him, why did they lose them? If the economy is now sinking, he didn't inherit a sinking economy. He inherited an economy that was robust enough for him to be able to borrow 400 billion Ghana cedis.
He needs time and support to take Ghana to a different level, promised land.
And I'm surprised that my brothers in the MPP, and there's a lot of talent in the MPP, they themselves said we have the men. I have nothing to doubt that, but now it's a byword for a massive joke. Is he the only man the MPP had when they said we have the men? I salute the MPP MPs in Parliament when they say he should go. I'm not doing it out of partisan politics, but for the good of Ghana. Are there no other economists? When Dr. Baumia was mentioning their names, economic management team, Professor Jamba for Akoto was, he mentioned all of them like a nursery rhyme. Where are all those ones? Are there no men anymore? Is Ofori-Atta the only one there?
Well, the 3 weeks now. The 3 weeks that Nana Addo gave the 95 MPP MPs had gone. And Honorable Ken Ofori-Atta is still the finance minister of Ghana. He said to them to give them 3 weeks. But now Ken has come out and said, just give me time. He's going to do it and fix it and take us to a different level.
See, the problem is, I hope that the MPP MPs who stood up, that they serve and they stand by their word.
The president is afraid to sack Ken Ofori-Atta. What is it? Is it the family link? Is it that he is afraid to sack him? Or is there something there that stopped the president from moving? Because when he came to Charles Adubuahe, he acted quickly. So what is holding Nana Addo to act here?
So this is, in my view, a crisis of leadership on his part. An inability to make a decision to say, you are my brother, but I think on this case you are overwhelmed. This one is above you.
It's not easy sacking
and so I beg you, you can get him to resign. Ofori-Atta could have done a decent thing by saying, my brother.
But he doesn't want to be seen as a failure.
It's too late now. Kula, from 120 billion to 520 billion debt, is that success? From inflation of 15% to now over 40%, is that success? You go to the market, the prices of goods are jumping everywhere like we are dancing Palogo. Is that success? You have a situation where now, look, I know people that are looking for dollars to pay their school fees here, right? You want to open a dollar account, Bank of Ghana tells the banks, block it. We are in a currency control situation. Taking us to the IMF and requesting 3 billion, more than 300%, the largest ever package. Is that success? So already everybody knows he has failed. He should just now at least show some decency and step aside and allow somebody. Because what is happening is not only is it not good for Ghana, but a crisis of credibility is building in the MPP. We want a strong opposition when we come into power 7th January 2025. We do not want an opposition that Ghanaians will just toss away and ignore. Why will the mighty NPP, a party that believes in development, in freedom, believes in accountability, and rightfully held President Rawlings, President Mills to account when they were in power, why would they sit aloof and watch one of their own literally destroy their party? It's like the MPP is a ship.
So it's
and
collapsing.
Ofori-Atta has taken an axe to the ship and is hitting the axe into the wood and breaking it, and water is coming into the ship, and they're all smiling and watching because
But
all
they are
going to
talking.
drown.
95 MPs, they are talking. But it's like, if the leader, the president is not listening, what can they do?
Kula. Olarotimi, one of my favorite playwrights, Nigerian, wrote in The Gods Are Not to Blame that meat that has fat will prove it by the heat of fire. If they truly meant it, and I'm not suggesting they didn't, why is it that when the MPP brought a motion of censure, they were moving out? They should be saying, now we're not going to work with him, we want him out, we'll join our brothers in the MPP, NDC, to get him out for the good of their own party, if not for the good of Ghana.
But people are saying that the NDC is not doing enough.
Well, the thing is, the motion of censure to be passed needs 2/3. The NDC doesn't have the 2/3. We have just about 1/2. We need a couple of MPs from the MPP side to join us. Now, 90 is more than enough. If they believe in what they have said, let's not make it as if they went and engaged in theatrics. Some are saying after they engage in it, McDonald or some other businessmen, I am told, these are just hearsay, came and then oiled their palms and now they've gone quiet. Let us not, they should redeem their image by standing strongly. I know they renewed that call. It's not enough to come and sit and talk. It's not enough for me to sit here and tell you that I'm principled. The people who work with me, who know me, should be able to say that. It's not enough for me to come and say I've got integrity when I'm going around running other people down. So it is not enough for them to hold press conferences. What they should do is at the next session, they should join forces with the NDC in parliament to chuck Ofori-Atta out. We are not saying the entire government should resign. We are saying that that man should go and they should find somebody else. If the NPP is telling us that there's no one else in their party who can do finance ministry job apart from Ken Ofori-Atta, then they should just tell us. So that we'll put our hands on our head and start wailing because the country's funeral has come. But I see the MPP, there are people who can do this job. We are in a basket case now. We need people who can come and plug the holes in the basket. Ofori-Atta cannot do what he's doing. What he's trying to do is standing in a bucket of water and trying to lift himself out.
The question is this. Do you think that the party, in terms of their perception, is wrong though? In the sense that you are attacking Ken Ofori-Atta. Nana Addo is the president. So therefore, they are afraid of Nana Addo because why they not going to Nana Addo directly and then pointing the finger at, it's the demonstrators that are pointing fingers at Nana Addo. It's not the party. The party is pointing finger at Ofori-Atta. So is everything kind of
it's a crisis of governance in Ghana. You should not have a situation where you have a democratically elected government that is feared worse than a tyrant. This democracy means we respect each other and we work for each other. The president is primus inter pares, first among equals, not a feudal lord and we are subjects. The MPP should respect the presidency. MPP MPs should respect the presidency, but they should not fear. I know MPP MPs that can tell Nana Addo in the face, the likes of PCFI or Ofori, and they know that the cost to them is he won't give me appointment, but Makan, can you speak the truth? You see, they say the man that sleeps on the mat doesn't need to fear falling from the bed. So if you are an MPP MP and you have that integrity, you are fearless, you are representing your people there for the betterment of them and Ghana. Speak the truth to Nana Addo. That truth will rescue the MPP. Because what is happening now will lead to a situation where there's a crisis of mistrust among not just the MPP politicians, but wider politicians. We don't want that. There must be respect for our leaders. You shouldn't have a situation where there's now a current trend for bullying leaders. It's not good. I don't support those things. But it is because of the conduct. And the MPP MPs must get back. Look, the MPP has a tradition of working as equals.
Because now they kind of divided. There are division among them now.
And that brings us back to the point we're talking about. No divided house stands. In unity, you stand. A divided house will always fall, regardless of your numbers.
Because in this country, I'm just giving an example so our viewers will know. If Ofsted decide to go to, say, one local authority, and then they do their assessment and they feel that the work there is not being done, they're not going to ask the team to go.
Yeah.
The head of the team would have to go.
Yeah.
If the police commissioner in this country is not doing their job, they have to go. If the prime minister is not doing, like Liz Ross and others, Boris Johnson, they have to go. So, but in Africa, we kind of see different angles.
Yes.
And I think this biased way of doing things also makes it difficult for us.
You've hit the nail on the head. Liz Truss was prime minister. Our own Kwesi Kwarteng. He dropped a mini budget. That budget, in fact, he was gone. Jeremy Hunt came in. The markets responded positively. That is the kind of thing that Ofori-Atta should have done. The person there in itself can bring in confidence. Liz Truss herself resigned. The tragedy of our politics in Africa is that we treat politics as chieftaincy. You see, a politician, how many politicians have resigned on principle? Presidents have resigned. The state of the nation now, I don't need to tell you, that it's clear that Nana Addo is drowning. It's clear that he and his government, they've got to a stage where they don't even know how to get themselves out of this mess. When you have a ministry now turning its premises into a marketplace for people to come and buy at a cheaper price, it tells you that you have failed complete. This should have been a situation for saying, you know what, we have given up, we surrender. Can somebody else who can do this better come and take over? But one of the reasons they won't do it is also because as a people, we are not always honest and sincere. If this was an NDC president in power doing this, will I be saying the same thing? If not, then I'm a hypocrite. We saw the calls on President Mahama. President Mahama only had Joyce Bauer, a long-distance relation in his government. Family and friends became the song. Today, you and I know what is happening. We, some of us Ghanaians, especially opinion leaders and religious, are justifying it. When you have religious leaders storm a Galamsey site to pray to God for the water in the Galamsey site to change, it's an insult to God and an insult to themselves. These same people should have been saying to government, stop it, shut it down. They actually went to the site, finished praying, went back, and the guys continued. So it's the kind of hypocrisy we are bringing to our politics that is contributing to this thing. Look, if a president knows that my people will not tolerate this, they won't even think of doing it. And when they do it, knowing very well that my people will demonstrate massively, they will step down. You know, people have, Martin Kpebu has called for President Nana Akufo-Addo to step down. I think Nana Akufo-Addo will do himself a favor if he steps down. Because let's be honest, and clearly now, he has no clue how to get us out of this. It's just a case of Yam Bompire. Just pray and wait and hope that time will fix things. But we should be able to, if we have to develop as a country, we should be able to get to a point where people resign on principle, on decent sense of values. Not just sit there because you are sitting there.
But the problem is, now, for Ghanaians, bread that we used to buy for 5 cedis is selling for 10 cedis. 10 cedis is selling for 20 cedis. Petrol prices keep on going high, rising and rising. Food items rising and rising. And as you are aware, Ghanaians dependent more on foodstuffs from abroad. Import. Import is also one of our major issues. Where do we go?
So this is the funny part. You have a travesty where Ghana versus Burkina Faso. Burkina Faso is closer to the desert than Ghana is. And yet we import onions and tomatoes from them. Can you see the irony of it? They have found a way of cultivating these goods and we haven't. We have a situation where we had a sugar factory, Commandant Sugar Factory. We shut it down and we spent billions to import sugar. You have a situation where we have oil, Tema Oil Refinery. President Mahama allowed Tema Oil Refinery to be able to process our own oil. But guess one of the things that was done? And I'm not putting the blame in anybody, but the various storage bases of Tema Oil Refinery have been hijacked by powerful members of the government for them to import refined products and store them there instead of refining the oil. Can you see how they are importing inflation? And so it is back to being honest and sincere and doing what is good for the country. We cannot keep complaining that we are importing everything when the government's policies, 1D1F, a brilliant idea. If all those factories had been built in Ghana and they were producing import substitution like Nkrumah did, we wouldn't have the level of inflation we have. We wouldn't have a lot of the problems we have. Yes. But the reality is that most of them, and I know some of those, I have friends who have their own businesses and they woke up one day to see that they have been put in 1D, 1F. They'll call you, say, Kula, you have that poultry farm? Yeah, okay. We'll give you small money and then we'll brand it 1D, 1F. That was a fraud. And that's why we've had 1D, 1F. We have had planting for food and
which
jobs.
The government says it has created a lot of jobs.
And at the end of the day, how come we planted so much for food and now the prices of food is much higher than when we hadn't planted? It doesn't make sense. Demand and supply. If the supply is high, the prices will come down.
We'll be back. We're having a short break.
Thank you.
And we'll be back. Thank you.
Say I saw them one and can make out say Bonsema Jesus.
And Omega Television is the home of many Ghanaians in the diaspora, especially in the UK.
Now, one can say, Ubedu Ghana, your TV
station,
UK, your TV stations, your BBC One, no, a war, a SW, and I used to Ghana for your BBC, Omega Live.
We said the name you do na BBC CEO Joe say now yeah we saying because almost every time you Ghana me say every top politician remember UK bia no omo ba be interview
I had
how
Oba UK no am Omega Live na just one am UK
no it's obvious
I want nam Dustin ho ba bia naja
every top politician be a ba UK have mahuno a platform we so and it means
and
really
me so say yenya Ghana ni a na wode ne ho asi wo se obema TV adwuma atumi akọ nanim sabre ye bia TV station ye boa se ankora ndwuma bi a wo ye wo UK ha wo enterprise wo money transfer wo bia hwan wo filling station ha na obi a wo pese ye bo ho dawro na Ghana wo ye event wo ware anansa wo ja ware akra so a na oba Omega Live
divorce party
ye betumi abo ho dawro na fesu Ghana for so ate say obentin wo ja ware sabre why single wo da ho bi betumi
I know right.
Omega ye born homodin na ye fast the PC Ghana for mama ye support wo ye patronize Omega TV say the be TV no betumi atoto more machines after say next year then the be empire be na Omega so nko na nim bra ye kan sa
At Diaspora Insurance, we understand the importance of dignified send-offs within Ghanaian culture and traditions. We also understand that you want to avoid the double trauma of your family grieving and not having the financial support to cover funeral expenses when you're not around. With our Diaspora Funeral Cash Plan, you can now cover yourself or your family in Ghana or abroad. With no medicals required, we'll accept you if you are under 75 years. Visit our website today or call us to complete a simple form in under 5 minutes. With Diaspora Insurance, your peace of mind is guaranteed.
Welcome. Thank you very much for the short break. Thank you very much for the short break. Welcome, Conrad.
Thank you.
You've spoken a lot, but there is still a lot to go in terms of our country.
Yeah.
The cost of living crisis. You know, where do we go from here? Things are rising every day. Obi catch them and say, when he goes to the market, he buys something today for 10 Ghana cedis. The next day he goes, it's 20 Ghana cedis. You know, so where do we go from here? And it seems that what they are saying is there is nothing to protect them.
Yeah.
They feel vulnerable now. Armed robbery apparently is going up.
Yeah.
And it's affecting everyone in Ghana. There is this kind of a sense of fear.
Yeah.
So where do we go?
So
and people are blaming NDC. They're saying NDC is not doing enough because they're not doing enough as opposition to help the government to address these things. So where do we go?
So Kofi, I've got a short answer and a long answer. The long answer to the question where do we go is we go to the NDC. And why did I say so? The NDC put forward the solutions that are available to this government now, which the government is refusing to implement for one reason or the other. The cost of living crisis is directly fed through from fuel. And fuel, being largely imported, is fed through by this disastrous debt situation we have. So in the short term, the first thing the government must do, and I'll come down to the bottom of the price, is to get together, hold a century consensus or conference like we did, come up with a credible homegrown policy, present it to the IMF, strike a deal very quickly. Now, this is what the IMF can do, because the IMF provides what we call concessionary funding, which is funding that is at no more than 2%, whereas the last Eurobond we had was almost 20%. So if the government were to go there and strike a good deal, immediately, what the IMF could do is, okay, your debt is 522 billion. It's owed to various private investors. If you are paying 20% of that to them a year, 20% of 520, right? Every 10% is about 52 million. That's 104 million that you are paying out to them. We will drop it down to 2% because by law, IMF cannot, by its regulation, it can't charge more than 2%. So your interest you are paying out will drop from the 104% to about just 104 million to 1.4 million because it's from 20% to 2%. That extra 1.4 are taken out of 104. That's about another 103.6 million. That can then be channeled to supporting Ghanaians. And that brings me to what I mean by supporting Ghanaians. The NDC set up what you call the stabilization fund, right? I mean, when you go to fuel, buy fuel, there's a portion of it, the stabilization levy. The whole essence of it was to collect, in good times, collect enough money from it. So that in bad times when the price goes up, you can release that to reduce the price. So if at the moment we have collected, and this is the thing, as price of fuel goes up, because it's a percentage, it also goes up. So government can decide that if the price of a liter of fuel is 17 cedis now, and we have collected enough to be able to reduce it to 12 cedis using this same stabilization levy, government should do that. So if government is to reduce fuel by 5 cedi, right, which is almost 1/3, roughly about 30%, what it means, it will have a feed-through impact because transport fares will come down by 30%. And so if I am going to Techema to bring my maize for the pest so that I can sell in Accra for them to do banku, the cost will come down. It's a bread basket. Oh, yes. Anybody who wants to buy cheap, good food, you go to Techema.
Okay.
So you see how it can simply work. But all it needs is for government to say, you have been collecting this money. And that money is called stabilization. The whole essence of it was collect it in good times, and when prices are going, use it to subsidize the price so that it will come back down. Why is government not doing that? By not doing that, you are allowing consumers to face fully the harsh price increases, and that is feeding into the banku. Because if the fuel price is going up and government is doing nothing about it, I'm going to go and collect my maize from Techema. My price, transport cost will go up. When I come, I'll sell it higher. The banku seller buys my maize at a higher price. They go to mill it. Remember the guys at the Nika. They also buy fuel to run it higher. So when I have my molly and I do my banku, I'm not going to my kinky. I'm not going to sell it at the same price. So you see how it has a direct feed through, whether it's plantain, whatever it is. So in the immediate term, because all this long term about import substitution, it's not now. Yes, that's long term. In the immediate term, government should use the tools the NDC made available to be able to bring the price of fuel down. Once the price of fuel comes down, like in our neighboring countries, Togo, Benin, and the like, you will see inflation coming down. Because everybody agrees that inflation is high. As of 3 months ago, maize alone, inflation of maize alone was about 63%. And we know, all of us, if you don't eat banku, you will eat kenke. Or even TZ, you use maize for TZ as well. So government should direct its energies to reducing the cost of this. And all these tools were made available by the NDC government. And that's why I said go back to the NDC.
Well, this
metaphorically, because the NDC tools are there to use, and in actual sense, because the NDC did it before and knows how to do it.
This is why Dr. Owusu Afriyie Akoto decided to, transport plantains and others to the ministry. Because he feels that he will cut that. But last week, Freddie gave one analysis to say that by the time people they pay from, say, North Kanishi, travel to the ministries, and then back. They must as well buy somewhere.
I haven't talked about North Kanishi. What about my brother at Elubo? When he's coming to buy, is he not going to pay the transport cost in there? But you see, what he has done, what Dr. Fee has done is basically say, I'm headmaster. All my students, they are failing this WAEC portal. What I'm going to do is I will go and sit down and write the exams for them. That's not how you solve the problem.
No.
That's not how you solve the problem. Because where did government get that cheap food that the person going to buy from there is not getting? And it is not profiteering. I know the president said people are profiteering, but I gave you that example of the one who imported.
Do you think our universities are not doing enough then? Because are they not advising? I mean, in this country, when things are not going well, you start hearing from the Cambridge, the Oxford, all of them, you know, all these professors, they will be coming out saying, no, we can't go along this way. If we go along this way, bound to disaster. You see,
I think
the response there's nothing. It seems that everywhere is quiet. There's this silence.
Exactly, you have hit the nail on the head. The culture of silence is back. If you are in the university or you're an academic and you speak against it, you will see the other side.
Is that what Nanado meant by Sikam Pededeno? Just stay there.
I think that when Nanado says Sikam Pededeno, there are two things to it. One, it was comic relief, hoping that the man that is suffering will laugh at it and his problems will go. But you know, laughter is good medicine for the soul, but only up to a point. The other thing is, I mean, Nanado, I always say, Nanado is an intelligent man. We don't need to be plagiarizing all the time. That was taken from a Nigerian movie. Yul Edochie, Peter Edochie's son.
Yes.
He made it clear. I mean, the clips were there. We don't need quotes from Nigerian movie to reduce prices.
Is it plagiarism again?
Bam. He didn't quote the man. He simply said it and said it in different languages. It doesn't matter. Look, you can speak Greek, but it will make a difference. What we need is not presidential address. What we need is to see the price of fuel drop at the pumps in Ghana. What we need is to see food prices come down. Because look, any country that cannot have cheap food struggles to develop. You first make food cheap because that is the engine or the fuel for the engines we all have. It doesn't matter what you do. I mean, I want to come in, you have a job there, wala tu wala sa, I come there, I'm hungry. I will throw the shovel and the shovel will throw me because the inside is empty. We need cheap food. And cheap food is linked in our case to transport. And that is linked to fuel. They should get that down. And as we said, using the stabilization levy, the money is there, they are collecting it. Why are they not using it? The oil we have been exporting. Bear in mind that when the price of fuel in the international market goes up, oil, we import higher, but when we export, it's also higher. So we have made over 8 billion. They say Ukraine-Russia war, but Ukraine-Russia war, pushing prices up, has given us over 8 billion cedis of windfall from that. That can be diverted to reduce the cost of fuel. That can be diverted to target vulnerable people like the LEAP people. Because you give somebody 17 cedis every quarter, what are they going to do with it? They can't do anything with it. You know, so the tools are there. I'm always dumbfounded by why the government is not using those tools. I know the government owes everybody from SNIT to the last watchman in the country. But at this point in time, it should be national mobilization. Use the tools that are already there. You don't need to put in new tools. And solve the problems that we have at hand. And this is where the NDC comes in. I don't believe that is the problem of the NDC. President Mahama asked them to go to IMF. They waited till it was too late to go there. We are telling them to get a homegrown policy plan. They are still waiting. The NDC is the solution. And this is why I said, where do we go? The answer is you go to the NDC. Because the tools are there. We put them there. We have the plans. We've done it before and we can do it again.
I just want to say some of the comments that I can see here. Gilbert Amate said, what's it? Of his answers is quite your answers are quite impressive. Ekuya Dansua, we treat politics like chieftaincy in Africa. Ekuya Pra say the current government is the president has failed. Why fire Edubuahin and leave your cousin who has been found to do worse? Please, viewers, can you give a reason why I should support Comrade? Thanks. Chairman, comrades, this is Usu Chow. I would say strengthening the chapter and branches and expand our territories. Promote financial transparency, prudence, and accountability. Joshua Malcolm, more fireworks, Comrade Conrad. the rescue mission agenda. Chairman, incoming chairman, he understands the issues, is Ishmael Zevo. There is more that we will get to it at some point. What is your message for the youth of Ghana? What message you saying for them? Because now the youth, as we can say, are the ones for our future, and they are the ones who are suffering more. What message do you have for them? And also, before we go after that, your message for NDC UK and also NDC around the world.
Thank you. So my message to all Ghanaians, we are all youth. Don't mind my gray hair. It's powder. Take charge of your own destiny. Do not sit aloof and watch the elders destroy Ghana. Because if you do that, there will be no Ghana for you and I. And so my message to the youth is this: be active. Whether you go into NDC, you go into MPP, you go into CPP, or you are a neutral, advocate for the development of your community. Advocate that the right thing is done. If your own party does it wrong, give them feedback, they can change. Don't support because you belong. Support because it's right. Look, we have done this thing so many times and it's not working. Only the youth coming to the forefront, bringing their energies, bringing their talents, bringing their principles, and prepared to serve Ghana with integrity. That is the only way we can take this Ghana to where we want it to be. And so for me, if you are a youth today, don't look at the coins you are going to get from any politician. Look at your destiny and ask yourself, how can you change that? You can change your own sleeping place by making sure you politic on integrity, you hold your leaders to account, and you make sure you yourself, you are clean. You can work hard. It doesn't matter what you do. What matters is how you do what you do. We need to dream big and we need to work hard. If we aim for the skies, the stars, if we even miss the stars, at least we'll hit the International Space Station. So we should have hope. I know things are tough, but we shouldn't give up. We should keep working and we should put pressure on our leaders and the government to do what is right. That is my message to the youth in Ghana. Now to my comrades in the UK and Ireland. We are talking about rescuing Ghana. We can't go there with one tonchini that is wobbling to do that. We need a strong vehicle. If we are to make a difference to the fight in Ghana to change government and bring back the NDC to do what it knows best, putting Ghanaians first, creating a better Ghana, we need to create ourselves better. We need to expand. We need to make sure we develop ourselves and we have the strong vision that when we take that to Ghana, we can work with our comrades to make sure victory is secured. And that is why I'm in this race. I'm asking you to give me the opportunity to serve you. We have the ideas. I'm not going to say we have the men, but we have the comrades. Together, we can do this. None of my ideas is overambitious. Let us aim for the skies. Let us work together. Let us make the NDC, UK and Ireland stronger, more resilient, better, and a better chapter for the future and the party. Thank you very much for your audience this day, and I'm glad to have had your listenership.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Conrad Dumba, former chairman for NDC Milton Keynes, and now aspirant for NDC UK and Ireland chapter. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Following this program, we also have another program. We have another program regarding one-on-one with Madam Beatrice Asante, UK and Ireland chapter vice chairperson's hostful, and she's also the former chairperson for North London, NDC North London, North London. Yeah, thank you. Thank you very much. We have had a lot. You come with normal baby, and you've done very well for this. And I wish you, Omega Live, wish you the best of luck for the coming. And on Saturday, we'll be hoping to see you as well. You'll be there
live.
All the 4 aspirants, and we know it's going to be fire. So our viewers, on Saturday is 26, is it? Let me be clear with that one. It's 26.
Yes.
Yeah, Saturday 26, and we start the program from 2 p.m. to about 6 p.m. By the time we will clarify the time through flyers and yes, My boss will be doing that. So hopefully it will be out either today or tomorrow.
Yep.
Continue. So
Looking
don't go
forward to
away.
it.
Yeah, thank you. Don't go away. Beatrice will be coming shortly in about 10 minutes. Thank you.
Thank you, Kofi.
Chairman. Thanks. Well
Thank
done.
you for having me.
Yeah, that was it.
That's it anyhow.
Obian say I saw them one. And can make out say Bonsema Jesus.
Bonsema Jesus.
Brab.
And
yes,
Omega Television is the home of many Ghanaians in the diaspora, especially in the UK.
Now, some one can hear. Say, Ubedru Ghana, your TV
UK,
your TV stations, your BBC One, no, a war, a SW, and I used to Ghana for your BBC,
Omega Live. We said the name you do na BBC CEO Joe say now yeah yen is saying because almost every time you Ghana me say every top politician we by UK bia no omoba be interview I am going how
Oba UK no am Omega Live and just one my UK
no it's obvious
I want nam dusty ho ba bia naja
every top politician be our UK have mahuno a platform so and it means
and
really good.
So say yenya Ghana nia na wode ne ho asi wo se obema TV adwuma atumi akọ nanim sabre ye bia TV station ye boa se ankran adwuma bi a wo ye wo UK ha wo enterprise wo money transfer wo bia hwan wo filling station ha na obi a wo pese ye bo ho dawro na Ghana
event
wo ye event wo ware ana se wo ja ware akra so a na oba Omega Live
divorce party
ye betumi abo ho dawro na fesu Ghana for so ate se obentin wo ja ware sabre why single wo da ho bi betumi
I know right.
Omega ye born homodin na yen fast the PSC Ghana for mama yen support wo yen patronize Omega TV said the Bear TV no betumi atoto more machines afresh next year then the be empire be na Omega so nkwana ni bra ye kan sa